Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with a Vet. Hope everybody's had a wonderful weekend. I wanted to take a minute and talk a little bit about Mind Overland. So, over the Veterans Day weekend, my husband and I went and spent some time with some wonderful people, met some great veterans, one of which was a vendor there as well as a Marine Corps veteran. He and his wife actually own and operate a coffee company, and it's called GRO Coffee. So you can get it in bags of beans, or you can get it in the pods for your Keurig. The cold brew, really tasty stuff. So if you have an opportunity, go check them out. GRO Coffee. This is a medium roast, and he is out of North Carolina. So I'll roasted here in the US. Really excited for him and his family for that. So I have a wonderful guest that is waiting, one that I met at Mind Overland, and he is my very first Coast Guard veteran. So please help me welcome Kalvin. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Doing well.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the channel. And yes, you are my very first Coast Guard veteran, so you should feel honored.
I absolutely do. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It looks like in the chats, there are some people. There's one that was stationed with you.
Oh
Book
dear.
it 75. So I'm assuming
Yes.
you know who that is.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Oh, boom. Wait. Boomits. Okay, sorry. I was reading don't mind me. I was reading some of the chats, and it looked like Jason had a autocorrect, and so I think he said like bookets or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Bookets. I think that would be Chief Chisano.
nice. Yeah, not booklet. So
No, more like
so.
Chiclet. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
You actually met him at the gate at the Mind Overland.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm super excited to have a bunch of Mind Overland people in the chats today and joining. So thank each and every one of you out there for joining tonight. So I always start by asking my guests to tell me a little bit about who you were as a child. So tell me a little bit about who Kalvin was as a child.
Not a lot to tell on that. I mean, unfortunately, a statistic in the United States. I was the oldest of three children from a single parent home. Um, Grew up on the food stamps and welfare and stuff, but my mom put herself through college and eventually became a school teacher and
Nice.
got us all out of the house. So yeah,
That is really nice. That's good.
it is.
So, with your mom being a school teacher, did you like school?
I kind of a mixed bag. I was actually homeschooled until about the fifth grade. Homeschool wise, when my mom ended up having to enroll us into public school, the counselor uh, made it very clear that she didn't appreciate homeschool, that she thought that parents thinking they could do a teacher's job was an insult and a travesty to the children. And to prove the point, she decided to move me back to the fourth grade. Um, so like I said, it's a mixed bag. I actually did enjoy a lot of it. One of the things that I my reading and math levels were much higher than the fourth grade, probably even the fifth grade. My earth sciences and chemistry were probably at the fourth grade level, and so I spent a lot of time just reading ahead in those textbooks. So I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the
Oh,
reading part.
wow. Yeah. Well, but it sounds like, you were a little bit more advanced than the rest of them, right?
In some areas, I will grant, the common trope is that we don't get the social interaction. I'm not entirely sure that had to do with being homeschooled or the fact that we lived out in the middle of the sticks. It was a good 30-minute drive, 20 to 30-minute drive from your nearest neighbor. So I think that had more to do with not being part of society. Um, but there was that whole thing where I it took me a while to adjust being in a group setting, as
Yeah.
one would say.
Yeah. And how did the rest of the classmates treat you, being that you were homeschooled?
Um, well, again, I don't know if it was homeschool. I think it more was that I was an outsider. Everybody grew up with each other; they knew each other, and I was the one rando that popped up in the fourth grade amongst all of them. So,
Yeah. So when you get into high school, I mean, you were only homeschooled up until fourth grade?
fifth grade, as far as I was in fifth grade for the homeschool, and they bumped me back to fourth grade.
Okay. All right. So when you get to high school, you're in public school or
Yes.
still homeschool?
Well,
Okay.
when I get to public school, I start in the fourth grade.
Okay. Did
Yeah.
you do any sports while you were in high school?
I don't do any sports. I became a band nerd.
Oh, nice. Okay. What did you play?
French horn.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Yep. I had one that did the saxophone, both the alto
Okay.
and the bari, and one that did percussion. So,
Very
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
So
to ask,
that's
did the percussionist go to jail?
no, thank goodness.
That's often the trope on that one, that the percussionist will end up in jail at some time.
No, I'm so thankful. No, no, no. We got a good handle on him.
Good, good.
Yeah, yeah. So, let's see. We Bookets called you a band nerd. Jason was too. So, yeah, fun. When you are looking to graduate high school, I guess at what point did you finally decide that you wanted to join the military? What was it that made you decide you wanted to do that?
uh, so, funny story. I joined out of boredom. I was actually working home construction, doing, I think, fairly well there. I had sort of advanced on the construction site. A lot of people thought I would end up being probably a supervisor, or even working as one of the general contractors
Oh, okay. Nothing
with
wrong with
the company.
that.
No, not at all. Except for I was in my, it was 19. Well, yeah, 1920 going to 21, and looking all these people in their 30s and realizing that house construction comes with a lot of bad backs, busted out knees.
Hmm.
There was uh, a lot of torn up bodies amongst those that had been doing the job for a long time, and I wasn't sure I was ready to do that. Um, and I'd gotten a pretty good handle on the carpentry thing and was enjoying it, but was, still young, thinking, oh well, there might be something else. Um, so I was bored, and I was working a job in Corpus Christi, Texas, and during my lunch hour, I stopped by one of those joint recruiting stations where, they got all the branches in there trying to uh, grab new people, and all of them were out to lunch. So I was walking back to my truck as the Coast Guard recruiter walked by, and was like, "Hey, do you need something?" So he snagged me. And I'm sure, looking back at it, I'm sure that he knew what he was doing. I don't know if he did or not. Um, but he said something that pissed me off. And so
Oh,
I decided that I was going to keep bugging him. Essentially told me that, that I was not somebody the Coast Guard would take on. And so I proceeded to make sure that they took me on.
so it was out of spite that you joined the Coast Guard.
Exactly. In which case, I said that I almost feel like he probably knew exactly what he was doing, but
That's funny.
either way, yeah, that's that.
It,
I was bored doing. We were doing a remodel that was going very slow, and it just so happened to be in '04. So, of course, the housing bubble didn't bust until '08, but it was starting to, we were starting to see slow patches.
yeah,
So I was bored, and I went and got pissed off by the recruiter and decided to just keep calling him.
that is so funny. So you tell me a little bit, I guess, about was it boot camp, basic training? What did they call it for the Coast Guard?
Boot camp
Boot
and
camp.
basic training, yeah, either
Okay.
one.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what their process is for that, because I've not had anybody to tell me that yet.
Okay, interesting. I imagine it's very similar to all the branches. In very general, the idea is that you break everyone down to the same level, and then you build them up at the same level. Not so much that you know beat everybody out, beat everything out of them. Everyone is still very much an individual, but um, you sort of set that uh, and for livestock and chickens, we used to call it the pecking order.
Hmm.
You sort of establish that everybody is on the same level in the pecking order and that they follow the rest of the chain of command. Um, that's essentially what they do, and so it's 8 weeks of yeah, yelling everybody. Everybody's on this. Nobody has a name at the beginning of it, right? The
You're a
exception would
recruit.
be your recruit. I don't remember my number, but yeah, you recruit and a number, and
Oh wow.
um, that's how they refer to you. And then you, of course, refer to uh, the company commanders by their names, or sir and ma'am, uh, if you suddenly have a moment's notice. It was like a quick save, but you better use company commander. Uh, yeah, you do that for about 4 weeks, and then they do a slowly gradual up during the 4 weeks, right? It's very intense, maybe 2-3 hours a night of sleep as you go, and they're just yelling at you and sending you to class after class. You're learning customs and courtesies and rules and regulations that you need to know for some reason, and everything else. And by week 4, they sort of punch you back down to week 1 to do it all over again. But you do it in about a week, and then so for an entire week you're at week 1 up through 3, and then you gradually get to the point where you're a coastie, or you're amongst the uh, one of the sailors or coasties, coast guardsmen, to join the ranks.
So tell me a little bit about the PT, for example. What's it like for a Coast Guard
You mean just general day to day, or are you talking about like what
in
we
the
did during
in
the Coast Guard? All right,
yeah
in the boot camp.
boot camp?
Boot camp is push-ups, sit-ups, running your miles, swimming. Um, we have to do a tread water for several minutes, and then of course you have to be able to swim around uh, back and forth in the pool. I forget the distance, but uh, yeah,
And
it.
were you a decent swimmer?
I was not. No, I ended up doing a remedial swimming. Um, Only had to do it once, fortunately. The first time I didn't quite make my. I think it's a. Uh, like 1,500 meters, if I remember correctly. But uh, you you do it once. I didn't beat the time. I finished it. I just didn't get the time. So they sent me for 3 or 4 days to go learn to be faster, and so I did. I became faster. Treading water wasn't a problem for me. I can tread water, just not a huge swimmer.
I
Uh,
can't tread water. I sink like a rock.
oh,
I don't know why. I don't know. I have no idea. I even had, I mean, I'm old, so back in my day, we were required to take swim lessons in school,
oh wow.
and
Okay.
yeah, and I did okay. I can float, like I can prone float. I can, float on my back on my front. The dead man's float. I just can't tread water.
Oh,
I don't know what it is. But yeah, funny. That's my nemesis is that. But I love being out on a boat and going fishing and that kind of thing.
oh, absolutely.
So once you get through and you graduate boot camp, and actually let me go back for a second. What kind of funny stories do you recall from boot camp?
Um, well, one in particular that was more directed at me. I had a company commander that uh, made sure, and this was about week 6 or 7, we start doing assignments, your first duty assignments, and I had got selected for a Coast Guard cutter out of Honolulu, Hawaii,
Oh,
and of course they were very adamant to make sure that they didn't tell me that I had gotten Honolulu, Hawaii, um, and they had a pretty good case on it. Most of the cutters from Honolulu end up doing fisheries patrols out of the Bering Straits off of Alaska. So they made
oh,
sure to let me know that I was going to be going to Alaska and needing to invest in parkas and very warm boots and all of this stuff. And uh, I sort of was like, they told everybody else their duty stations had no reason to believe that they were messing with me, but at the same time, they're probably messing with you because they told them their duty assignments, and me, it was all about, you're going to be going and patrolling Alaska. Um, just those little bitty details. It's like, oh, you're going to station such and such. You're patrolling Alaska, but I'm not going to Alaska. So eventually I figured it
interesting.
out. But that was, to me, that was funny afterwards. It was like, okay, I see where y'all are going at. And then the icing on the cake to that was that I never did a fisheries patrol in Alaska.
Really?
No, not once. I went to South America and I went to uh, Asia, the Asian, uh, what are they, the state, yeah, AOR,
Okay.
yeah, Japan, Korea, and China. So,
What did you think about going out in the ocean for the first time?
um, strange enough, didn't bother me. I'm not entirely sure why. Because yeah, I'd never been really a sea person. I'd been on small boats, going flats fishing in the Gulf.
Mhm.
Um, my dad had a sailboat that he only took us out on one time. Um, actually, when we were much younger than that, but um, yeah, going out to sea or anything wasn't something that I had done as a normal thing. So, um, yeah, I reported to the boat in dry dock at Portland, Oregon, and we spent 2 weeks buttoning up that. Excuse me. Um, and they lowered the barge, and the boat started floating. And I had a lot of shipmates. Some of them have just got out of boot camp, same as I did. Not exactly the same class, like a couple of classes ahead, but um, a bunch of us, or a bunch of us, are sitting there manning the rails, and a lot of them, the boat. wasn't even floating yet. It had just touched water, and it was almost like a trigger for them that they had just immediately got seasick.
Oh, wow.
And that didn't bother me. And I kind of wrote up, well, okay, you've been out on a small craft out in, the intercoastal canal. This is nothing for you. Um, and then we uh, transited the Columbia River there and went out to uh, the southern tip of the Bering Straits, which notoriously is a rough water area in beautiful sunny weather. And I'm sure anyone watching this is familiar with the Deadliest Catch, right? Those are the
Yeah.
waters that those crab fishermen are out. Um, they're a little bit further north, but it's the same waters, and there happened to be a storm system going through at the same time. So
Oh, wow.
this is my first time transiting the straits with a storm system blowing through. I got nauseous, but never got sick. I ended up standing my first watch. Typically, when you learn to stand watch, you're learning, so you do it as a break in. Most of the qualified were down below in the racks, um, trying to keep hydrated, and the OD at the time, he was a salty sailor. Um, he had one other qualified that was there, so he had qualified there. Then myself, this is my first time on a Coast Guard cutter. He stuck me at the helm, and he was like, uh, "Keep that line on that number until I tell you to do something." And he was like, "And you'll do fine." And that's what we did all night. He would give me a course to travel and stuff, and I'd go to it. Unqualified, first time out there. I had managed to be the first break in to not throw up, the only break in not throwing up. Uh, it was fairly intense, even though it was uh, anticlimactic. Like, we sailed on through, people got over it, watches continued as normal. For a first time, that was what I experienced, was getting thrown into the lion's den of bridge watch, because nobody could stomach the Bering Straits in a storm. So
How long were you on that ship?
that ship was about a year and a half. Um,
In the sea, at the out there in the middle of the ocean.
no, no, no. I was stationed there a year and a half total. It took us about a 2 week transit to get to home port in Honolulu. Um, and then our first patrol, which was a southern patrol, we did about 4 months.
How difficult was it living on the boat for, you know, days on end?
Uh, Not really that hard. It was, and especially I was single at the time. I didn't have a lot of bills, so cost of living was a lot in Honolulu, Hawaii. But at the same time, as a E3, you're not going to get a BAH or anything. You're going to live in barracks, or you're going to live on the ship. I chose to live on the ship. Yeah, it wasn't really that hard. I had access to public transportation to go around the town when I needed to. Um, I bought a bicycle that I rode around Honolulu quite a bit. Yeah, fairly easy. And they of course serve you meals on the ship, and then there's you have the enlisted club outside the ship, and not to mention access to all the restaurants and stuff. I mean, yeah.
So when you're out in the ocean and like that 2 week transit time, did you find it boring? Did you have, did you read a lot of books? What did you do in your spare time when you weren't on watch?
Well, you definitely. I did read quite a bit underway. I also uh, probably I watched a lot of movies that normally I'd never watched before. They had been out for years, but I just um, growing up, I didn't care. You know, I was reading books mostly growing up,
Yeah.
so movies weren't a thing. I ended up procuring a portable DVD player. It's kind of like a small laptop, about 7 inches. It's DVD player with a 7 inch screen. So yeah, you're watching movies, you're reading books. I also ended up spending a lot of time basically picking up various jobs on the ship that needed to be done. At one point, we have a cage. It's called the bosun's cage. It has all the tools for deck force. It has just various items and things for doing everything you want. Like, for instance, if you're doing going away gifts and stuff, we had a ship's engraver in there. So
Oh,
the
wow.
whoever was manning the bosun's cage would end up doing all the plaques. They do gifts for exchanges that we might be a part of, and so I ended up. I didn't get assigned, and I didn't necessarily volunteer. Um, some we were having a tool issue. Couldn't find them, and so I went and inventoried all the tools, and then I ended up putting them away and putting a logbook together, and I just sort of became de facto bosun, uh, you know, the bosun of the cage, um, which ended up when we went and did our Western patrol out in Asia. Um, those were a lot of dog and pony and diplomatic exchange type stuff. So, of course, a lot of gifts that we've got to give over to the diplomats and uh, any state representatives that are coming on board. And so I spent many nights sitting in the cage doing engravings and everything else, and I'd go and stand my watch and get a few winks of sleep in the rack and go back to organizing the tools, engraving more gifts. That that was pretty much the bulk of it.
Yeah. So you go over to Asia, that area. Um, what was it like for you? Because the first time you go to another country.
Well, um, well, of course, the first patrol we had done was down in South America. So I'd been to a few, but Asia is a little bit different, right? I grew up in Texas. I not in Mexico, but Mexico adjacent. So
Right.
it's not entirely a culture shock when you go down there. It is not a Texas border town, but at the same time, like I could pick up a little bit of the Spanish. Yeah, he just called us nasty names type things. Yeah, Asia was definitely way different, and you spend a lot of time. I can read a little bit of Spanish or something to get a taxi to where I want to go. I spent 3 hours trying to figure out how to get to Tokyo on the train, and majority of the people in the station would sort of just pass you by and pay no attention to you. As you're trying to figure out which line you want to get onto in order to go down to downtown Tokyo. Um, I got fortunate that during the third hour, a college student, a Japanese college student, happened by, and she was learning English, and I obviously looked very lost. And she was the first one to pay attention and like, where are you trying to go? I'm trying to go to Electronic City. I don't remember the name of it, but there's a city there they call Electronic City. You can buy all kinds of gizmos and gadgets and very Blade Runner looking, all the neon lights and stuff. And so she did. She was like, okay, you want to get on here, you'll go to this stop, and then you'll transfer to this line, and you'll go all the way down, and that's how you'll get there.
Wow.
That was probably the well, that wasn't the biggest one either. Just like I said, being in a culture where I could not translate any bit of it. I mean, there was colors. I know colors. I don't know what the little, kickstand guy is trying to tell me. Um, so, uh, and then in South Korea, they have a culture of women known as juicy girls, and essentially, their whole thing is to get you to spend more money at the bar. So they come to you and you buy them a drink, and they make conversation. The bartender is, of course, giving them non-alcoholic drinks or alcoholic light, but he's got a heavy pour on yours. And so before the end of the evening, you've bought way more drinks than you were probably planning. That's essentially the uh, that's the gig, right? Um, but before you get to the bar, they're very aggressive about it then, and you've got like uh, another group of people associated with these bars that will come in and try to grab at you and pull you in, like, hey, I know you, and try to drag you into these bars and introduce you to the juicy girls. That was I was very good at being able to dodge and get out of there, and
Nice.
went and got a very nice 4-star hotel that had it was about the cost of 50 American dollars, but um,
Wow.
yeah,
What year
it was,
was that?
oh, what was 2006?
That's still for a four-star hotel. That's pretty impressive for
Yep,
$50 American.
it was very
Wow.
impressive. I don't know if there was a hey, we have the Americans in town, we're going to treat them up nice, or what was going on, but that's the price I got it at. I was very happy to get off the ship's rack. Rack being the bed on the ship. Apologize if anyone isn't familiar with that. And yeah, and then just dodging the juicy girls of Korea. And then, of course, we went to China, and you get at some point you're sort of okay. Okay, I've been to Japan, I've been to South Korea. I'm starting to sort of get the hang of maybe how to navigate a little bit into it. And the first time I went out into China, we were out in the evening,
Mhm.
and it was pretty much like any place you would walk into. You go into a store or marketplace, and the they're trying to sell you their wares and everything else, and then at some point in time, you realize nobody's actually paying attention to you. Like they're uh, mouthing off prices to you or trying to show you items that you can buy there. But they're all in a trance listening to the loudspeaker that was out on the street corner um,
Interesting.
that you walked past to go into the store. And uh, on day 3, it dawned on us that like twice a day at the same time each day, this loudspeaker would start talking and everybody would stop. They were still doing what they were doing. The shopkeeper was still trying to sell wares, but they became very uh, disassociated from the transaction, right?
Hmm.
Everybody was listening to whatever this loudspeaker was, and of course, I had no idea what the loudspeaker said, but it was
And nobody
very
told you?
eerie. No, no, nobody would tell you. Um,
Now
no.
I just want to know what it said. See, I'd be asking everybody. Do you speak English? What does that say?
Part of me, well, you'd be surprised how many Chinese know English as well. But
Yeah.
part of me wanted to know, and part of me was like, I don't think I want to know. This is
Right?
great. This is like a Stephen King novel or something where
Yeah.
everyone suddenly goes into a trance, and you're like, I'm the only one that's not a zombie here.
That's so weird. I'm just picturing, it's kind of like reading a book and you get your own vision. So hearing you talk about it, I just have like this vision in my head of what it would be looking like. This is just like, hmm. Yes, my imagination, starts to run wild. Um, so, out of all of the places that you were able to go, as far as the different countries, did you have a favorite? One that you would go back to again if you had the opportunity?
Uh, there's there's a lot of them. I would do Japan again. Japan was fun. I didn't get to do a lot of their countryside. Um, and from what my dad has told me, and from the little bits and pieces of it you see from the train, beautiful, beautiful country. Um, I would do. So I did Honduras, Roatan, Honduras, and there's a lot. Roatan is uh, technically a part of Honduras, but it's its own little. No, Craig, no. Quiet there, sippy cups. Um,
Whoa.
um, but but it's an island, so it's kind of detached from the rest of the politics of Honduras. The island itself is beautiful. The people are nice, and it's yeah, you got a bunch of like just kind of street foods, um, kind of tiki bar restaurant areas, places to go and sleep. I
Nice.
mean, it's kind of a little tropical paradise. It's not that big, so it's. I think it used to be a stop for cruise ships.
Hmm.
We could go there, and they absolutely loved when we'd come there, and you take a small little boat out the west end, go snorkeling. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful place. Um, and then Dominican Republic was really nice too. Now, I was they immediately they pull you into like the place where and if blanked on the name, but there's a common area where people go. They've got an all inclusive resort and everything there.
Okay.
Me and some of my friends, we got a taxi and drove like an hour away from that area. We're like, we're not sitting here where the tourists are. We're going to go to another spot. And so we found like this. It's not an all inclusive resort in the sense like Sandals or something like that. You're not sitting at a bar and getting uh, you know uh, Michelin chef meals or something every day and spending thousands of dollars a night there. We spent $30 a night, um, and we each had a bed. There was a shower that we could share. There was a pool there. We got breakfast and dinner, and they would drive us out to their own private beach
Nice.
every day, where you could go and you can do surf. There was a tiki bar there. Yeah, just various stuff. It was amazing, and it was away from like all of the tourist area and stuff, which, strangely enough, is apparently where all the riffraff and trouble is. Um, yeah, just absolutely amazing place.
So okay. And then the food, now being that were in multiple different countries, was there um a country that had food that you enjoyed, and which one would that be? And then a country that had food that you absolutely did not like, and which country would that be?
So I had uh, never never tried and never considered trying sushi ever before in my life
Oh,
until I went to Japan. And while I was there, I was like, you're in Japan, you have to try sushi. It would be ridiculous not to try the cuisine of that country that you're in. I absolutely love it. I am a huge sushi fan
yeah,
everywhere I go.
yeah.
Yeah.
How
Um,
different then from Japan and America is the sushi?
um it's yeah, it's a little bit like you several of the restaurants I went in Japan, It could be, say, a lower class or lower tier level sushi restaurant, right? And all of it is good still. I mean, I can walk into almost any sushi place in Japan, and they're putting out really good plates of sashimi and nigiri and all that. You in the states, you have to find a good place. If you know,
You do.
yeah, if you find a bad place, it's bad. You know, right?
Yeah.
There's almost nothing good in that restaurant. You go to a good place, then you're spending an arm and a leg. Like I can go and spend very little in a cheap sushi restaurant in Japan, and I'm getting good sushi, or I could spend very little in the States, and it's not good.
Yeah.
So,
I do know that in Japan, they have, I mean, it is a lot of training before they become a true sushi chef. Um, I do know that. And it's something that, I mean, they're very prideful in, you know, achieving that. And here, interestingly, you see a lot of people who aren't Japanese who are making sushi.
well,
So,
now to that, I have met on the second cutter I was on after I went to my A school and got my rate. We did have a cook on board that had taken a leave of absence. Well, he took about 2.5 weeks of leave, and he went and trained under a sushi chef. And unfortunately, there was the chief, the cook's chief, did not put that to application on the ship. However, every time we had a ship call, uh, well, there was a couple of times during ship call where somebody brought up a tuna,
nice.
and he would take it immediately into the galley, and he would cut us up a wonderful sashimi, and there'd be like just three of us just sitting there, picking at it. So
So you get to fish off the ship?
occasionally, yeah.
Yeah. What was the biggest fish you were able to catch?
I did not do a lot of fishing.
You
Uh,
didn't.
no, unfortunately, my watches tend to coincide with the
Oh,
fish calls. Also, on both of my ships, uh, I had qualified as the master helmsman, which um, sounds more prestigious than it is. It just means you're the guy that's driving the boat while everybody gets to do all the fun stuff. So that's all that is. No, there's some cool stuff with it, right? It means that the captain and the XO have a level of trust in you to give you a little bit of leeway when it comes to driving the ship. The ships are typically driven by the officer of the deck or the conning officer, right? He's the one that's giving the directions on where to go. All you do is just enter in his commands in a joystick or the engine order telegraph. However, as the master helmsman, he doesn't have to give you very pinpoint instructions, right? If he has a goal in mind, he will tell you that goal, and then you can do whatever you need to in order to make it happen.
oh, okay.
Side of a thing, so it is kind of a prestigious, position to be, but at the same time, you miss fish call, or
Yeah.
steel beach, or swim call,
Well,
or you
so
can't volunteer for uh, the Hilo firefighting team because you're on the bridge.
which brings me to a question. So obviously, the other branches, a lot of times they intermingle. And were you able to serve beside any other branches of military at
uh,
any time?
Not directly. So I wasn't a part of like any MSST or any of the um, sort of our tactical teams or anything like that. But occasionally they would serve on Navy ships. You have
Mhm.
Navy ships that'll go do drug interdiction, and a DoD cannot do civilian law enforcement. Drug interdiction is typically civilian law enforcement, unless, of course, they're declared a terrorist organization. But so the Navy would take on the Coast Guard team to go and do these interdictions, right? And it's at very close. And about the closest I got was we went and did an AFRICOM patrol with Sixth Fleet. So Western Africa went and did some law enforcement exchanges, and even at a couple of dog and pony shows. Hosted delegates and stuff. I think it was Ghana, and I don't remember the second place. And then the most closest I got was usually with another country's navy. For instance, Morocco put shipwriters on board our ship, and essentially the same thing like we do with the Navy, right? We put Coast Guard on them, and they become
Yeah.
essentially a Coast Guard vessel. Well, Morocco put riders on our ship. We became the Moroccan Coast Guard, and went and did some illegal fishing interdiction in their waters for them. They don't have large ships to go and catch the Chinese illegally fishing. We don't have authority in their water. Mesh through together, take care of business type thing.
Did you come across any, I mean, did you have any skirmishes that, happened while you were out in the waters?
Nothing. No, nothing that came down to where we thought we would come to blows. We had, and this was back on my first cutter where we went to Japan. We did have one of our knucklehead deck sailors. He was going to assist somebody who was bringing up a bunch of packages onto the ship. The port in Japan did not provide us with peer security, so we had to run our own security on board the ship. However, you are not allowed to step off the ship because it is considered an invasion if you do so. And so we very quickly reminded him that he was invading the country of Japan, and he needed to get his butt back on board. But that's probably the closest we ever got to that.
An international incident.
Something like that, yeah.
That's funny.
And they laughed at us when we told them, we were like, okay, so here's an incident. And they were like, that's funny. Okay, if that's funny, then we'll go with that.
Right? Yeah.
And that was not me, thankfully.
The thought did not cross my mind. How long were you in the Coast Guard in total?
9 years.
9 years. Mm-hmm. And what was it that made you decide that you wanted to transition back?
It was mostly uncertainty. So my transfer season coincided with the end of my enlistment, the current enlistment, and at that point we had done about 2 years of advanced, 2 years of only having one person advance off of a list, right? Each of us are putting in, we're doing our exams to get on the advancement lists. We've got all of our points and everything else. And I was usually pretty, wasn't the highest, obviously not number one on the list, but I wasn't poor down on the list. No one in my office was, but you get to the November timeframe, and you have the final lists, the revised lists come around, and one person advances off of them, and it's you spend a lot of time at one pay grade, and you're trying to make that extra pay step. It was not demoralizing, but it was frustrating. And I had two things that I wanted out of anything. I either wanted to make more money, or be doing something different. Didn't have to. I was in IT, so I was obviously going to do IT stuff, but I'd like to move around and experience different aspects of IT or different aspects of the Coast Guard. So none of us are advancing. We don't know when advancements are going to pick back up. Nobody's really moving from the top. There's not a lot of movement from below. Transfer season is here. My enlistment is also up, so I have to make a decision to reenlist and take transfer. Well, the orders the detailer gave me were for the unit I was at. And I told
Oh,
him, I was like, first off, I asked for a cutter. Not a lot of people do that. People don't necessarily volunteer for C unless they're in a rate that requires C points for advancement to E7. Um, that's what I wanted to go back to a cutter. My rate doesn't require C time. And so he wasn't going to get a lot of people to willingly take cutter positions, right? He has cutter positions open that he needs to fill. And I was one of the few people to volunteer. Um, and he said no. He said, I'm staying where I'm at. And I reminded him that I, either need to go do something different or make more money. So I asked him, I was like, do you know whether or not we're going to get advancements again? He goes, he didn't know that. And so we ended the conversation. I was getting orders to stay where I was at. He didn't seem to be aware that my enlistment is up. So I decided I'm at the same place and I'm not making more money. And I'm in the DC area. So my clearance and everything else is going to get me more money, and I'm going to go do something else. So
that's
that's what
fair.
happened. Yeah.
Now, when you were leaving did the Coast Guard provide any assistance for transition back to civilian life?
There was a TAPS class.
There was. Okay.
Yep. Um, and well, I'd only taken the TAPS class once. I can't tell you if it was, better or worse than what anyone else gets. Some of it is fairly easy to follow. Some of it's really good information that you pick up on. It's fairly intuitive. Some of it is I'm still unsure about it. So, um, as we
Yeah.
say, it is what it is.
Right. Right. Quite interesting. I'm going to go ahead. Anybody in the comments or who's watching out there, feel free to put your questions in for Kalvin, and we'll have him get those answered. Um, so, okay, where are you at today in your life? What are you doing today?
Today, I am a civilian employee, GS-13, with the Coast Guard.
Ha! That's funny. Look at you.
So I am all the way back around.
Hmm.
And actually, I've done everything with them now, just about, except for officer, I guess you might say. I was enlisted with them. I went and worked for the IC as a contractor for about 2 years, and then came back as a contractor with the Coast Guard. And then I went and managed to get back onto a ship with the Military Sea Lift Command. And then, shut up, Craig. um, Went and sailed with Military Sea Lift Command as a government employee, and then transferred back over to the Coast Guard. So now I
Nice.
do SATCOM for the Coast Guard. We put uh, all kinds of new SATCOM on the ships.
And how long have you been doing that?
Since 21, so I'm in, year 4.
Nice. As far as resources for veterans in your area, are there any that you're aware of?
I know that there are, right. Of course, we have the usual uh, American Legion and VFWs. We've also got a couple of it's called the Vet Center, and honestly, I haven't. I remember looking back into it. It's very much a. Um, I think it's one of those groups that probably the American Legion would put out or work with to get everybody entered into the VA and stuff. Um, but yeah, we have the Vet Center. Um, you have a couple of voluntary groups that hang out at our county libraries, and then of course the entire area is just a huge transient area, right? We
Right.
Not only do you have active duty military, but tons of former military. Um, you have all the Mark Center, the uh, Bethesda. Yeah, it. There's a huge network for support out here.
Which is amazing. How
Yeah.
did you get involved with Mind Over Land?
Uh, so I started. I was watching YouTube while on the ship with Military Sea Lift Command, and of course this whole thing known as overlanding is becoming a huge thing.
It is.
And
It really is. Yeah.
yeah, and so I had already decided that I was going to buy a rooftop tent. Right when I was gonna, it was basically the same stuff I was already doing, but I liked the rooftop tent idea, not sleeping on the ground with the critters, and so I'd become aware of several organizations like Rubicon and what are the other ones? Anyways, there's several overlanding uh, groups that do sort of the same thing, right? Bring the veterans out there and get them involved in doing those types of trips and everything. But most of them are all West Coast, and even Central. Not really the plains, but closer to the desert area, Utah
Right.
and Nevada. Um, Kind of something I was thinking I might go and travel and do one day, but uh, they're far off, so it was be cool. Probably won't happen. I ended up going to the Overland Expo East. This was my second time going there. I brought a friend with me. He's not a veteran, but he decided to do some remote work inside the tent, and I was out walking around when I came across him. It was the first year that they were announcing, and yeah, I was very much excited about the opportunity because, like I said, I'd seen all of these different ones that are out west, and I didn't know of any that were uh, at East Coast, and yeah, so I got the pamphlet, got the rundown. Chad Bruner's daughter was the one that she saw me walking around with my dog and was like, "Can I pet your dog?" I was like, "Oh, absolutely." And she goes, "Are you a veteran?" "Yes, I am." And gave me the whole spiel down. And
Way to go, Chad. Way to train your daughter.
she did a very great job, and I was so excited about it. I went and I told Craig Chisano or Bookets um, about it, and then of course I sent it to him. I was like, "Hey, if this is something that you think you'd be interested in, I'm kind of interested in doing it. Let me know." And then he texts me like the following week. He was like, "I've already signed up for this trip, and this trip. Are you going on any of them?" And I was like, "Well, I thought we were talking about this first, but sure. I guess
That was the talk.
I'm that was the talk. Yeah, um, yeah, and that's where I heard from him, and that's where it kind of started. And, we went and did several trips with him. It's been an absolute blast. Great group of guys, and I'm like I said, I don't even remember the names of those other groups. I couldn't think of going anywhere else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, it was an absolute pleasure of meeting you at Mind Overland during their Veterans Day weekend. Always fun. And again, a huge shout out to Chad and the whole crew. You guys did a wonderful job. And we're definitely looking forward to next year and thinking good thoughts. Everything goes smoothly for that. Also, if do you have any words of wisdom for anybody who is looking to join the military, specifically the Coast Guard, what you would want to say to them?
Um, I'm not entirely sure what I could say that wouldn't sound, cheesy or probably overused, but it's definitely good wisdom to uh, go in with an open mind, right? A lot of us talk about boot camp as they're breaking you down and putting you all on the same level, making you the same person. But I didn't I didn't feel that that was the case. Yes, they make you all the same social status, but you are all still very much individuals. And to me, that was one of the coolest things that I got out of my service was um, everybody that I know, met, served with. Um, we all have different backgrounds
Yeah,
and different points of view on seeing things, and then of course our mission is all the same. And so you just had it was just this wonderful hodgepodge of like you can only do the mission by the blue jacket manual so much, but then there's going to be that one person that when I was a kid we used to do you know uh, used to shoot at wombats out in the backyard of Tatooine or something, and you know he's going to be the one to shoot a torpedo down the shaft of the Death Star. Whatever. Point being is that everyone still maintains their individualism, and you meet a lot of cool people, and it all comes together to complete the mission. And it was a lot of fun doing. Um,
excellent.
and so
Well,
go in there with an open mind. Remember, they're going to put you on the same. You're not going to be any better or any less than the person next to you, but you're still going to be you know, somebody that you you know, can serve with them, and they're going to be somebody you're going to enjoy meeting with.
I want to say thank you. I think the great words of wisdom, a great conversation tonight. Thank you so much, and for taking the time out of your day for doing this. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for everybody out there in the chats, make sure you check the community notes, and hopefully we can find a veteran for next Sunday. So. But again, thank you. And Kalvin, if you want to hang tight, I'm going to go ahead. We'll get this wrapped up. So again, everybody have a wonderful weekend coming up and a happy Thanksgiving.